Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête here on France 24. Our guest today is Elliott Abrams. He's a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington. He was a special envoy for Iran and Venezuela in the first Trump administration. He joins us from Washington. Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Abrams, there are ongoing talks between Iran and the United States, direct talks for the first time in years. It seems the Trump administration is bent on striking a deal with Iran. Is this feasible? Is this something you wish?
Well, first, it should be no surprise. I mean, it is what President Trump wanted in his first term. He almost met President of Iran, Khatami, in 2017, I guess it was, at the United Nations, but the Iranians didn't want it. But Trump's maximum pressure campaign has always had as its intention getting some kind of negotiation. Now it looks as if we will have it, although that's not certain. I mean, it can always break down. I think there's a real danger here, which is that the Iranians perceive that Trump is too anxious and that his negotiator, Mr. Witkoff, is too anxious for a deal. In 2018, Trump got out of the Obama deal, the JCPOA, and he set forth the whole list of what was wrong with the JCPOA. So it will be very interesting to see whether, if he can reach a deal, it's actually just the JCPOA over again, or whether it's tougher.
Right. As you said, Donald Trump described the deal reached by the Obama administration as a disaster and so on. But his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, seemed to indicate that Iran would retain the capacity to enrich uranium at low grade, of course. But it seems that this is what the deal is about, right?
It seems to be. I mean, that's not what Trump said. I'm just looking at what he said all those years ago when he was fairly clear that there should be no enrichment in Iran. And Mr. Witkoff has, gone back and forth. It seemed as if he was saying, well, they can have some kind of small program. Then he seemed to be saying, no, it must stop. I think he was using language imprecisely, and I think it remains to be seen exactly what the Trump administration would settle for. For example, will there be the ability in Iran to enrich uranium, which the Iranians are saying is a sine qua non? Absolutely, there must be. What about the missile program, which in 2018 Trump said was unacceptable for them to have a vehicle for carrying nuclear weapons against their enemies? Will that be part of it? The Iranians are saying no. It looks like Witkoff is now saying yes. So whether they will be able actually to reach a deal is something else. And finally on that, Trump was very clear back then in 2018 that Iran's support for its terrorist proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, had to come to an end. The Iranians are saying, no, we're only negotiating about the nuclear questions, not about that. So I think this is very much up in the air. We don't know whether there will really be able to reach a deal.
But in your mind, should there be a deal, or are you much more in favor of a military strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, like has been advocated by Israel, of course, but also by some in Washington? Do you think that's the only way to deal with Iran, or should there be a peaceful solution?
I think we should eliminate the Iranian nuclear weapons program. And I think it would be great to do that by diplomacy. If the Iranians are not willing to give up that program, then I think it should be destroyed by the United States and or Israel. But another iteration of the 2015 Obama deal, in which they have just, a bit less highly enriched uranium, a bit fewer centrifuges, and the ability to continue to keep that program and rebuild it in just a few months' time, that's not a solution at all. It's merely kicking the can down the road.
Right, but some are saying that now Iran is weaker than ever. You mentioned Hezbollah, you mentioned Hamas, you mentioned the Houthis. So is this the time to strike Iran? I mean, there's also a deadline that was set by President Trump of 2 months. Do you think that this is a real option by the United States, not only by Israel?
It's certainly an option, and we have seen Trump move a second aircraft carrier task force into the Middle East, move B-2s to Diego Garcia, move a THAAD air defense system to Israel. So the military capability is there. And the calendar is, as you say it, it's only 2 or 3 months before a decision would have to be made on a snapback of Iran sanctions at the UN. I think the debate within the administration is going to be between people, presumably like Vice President Vance, saying, don't do a strike. It's a Middle East war. It's exactly what you've always been against, endless wars. And others, maybe Secretary of State Rubio, National Security Advisor Waltz, saying, this isn't a war. The analogy here is to the strike on Qasem Soleimani. It's over, in this case, in a day or two. They will have that debate, and we'll see where the president comes out.
Right. I mean, the president himself, what is his mind on Iran? You worked in the first Trump administration on this very issue. Do you think he wants to go to war, or he wants to avoid this at all costs?
He certainly doesn't want to go to war, and you can see him trying to bring a solution to the Gaza war, a solution to the Ukraine war. He certainly doesn't want this. The question, I think, though, is if the alternative is a really rotten deal where he's going to be derided by me, for example, and certainly by Democrats for really repeating the Obama deal that he castigated in 2018 when he got out of it. What choice is he going to make? I don't think we know the answer to that yet.
Right. Still talking about the region, Donald Trump is to make his first foreign trip to Saudi Arabia. Obviously, there are lots of questions, but it's the one that stands out is whether there will be a deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel to normalize relationship. This seemed to be on the way until October 7th happened. Now it's much more difficult for Saudi Arabia because they've said we need clearly on the table a two-state solution, which the Israeli government currently is very unlikely to accept. How do you solve this conundrum?
I don't think it can be solved in short order. You're exactly right. That's what the president wants. The Abraham Accords were his greatest diplomatic achievement. He would like to do that again, include Saudi Arabia, get the Nobel Peace Prize, which he would deserve if he can do all that. But I don't see where the Saudi and Israeli positions today can be reconciled. The Saudis demand something on Palestinian statehood that Israel, and I don't think it's just Netanyahu, I think after the October 7 attacks, it's Israel, left, right, and center. They're not going to agree to Palestinian statehood now. So I don't think the president is going to be able to bridge that gap, not today.
How do you see the Gaza war ending, if there is an end in sight? I mean, President Trump put out his plan to essentially kick out the Palestinians, create a Riviera-style real estate over there. I mean, many people are saying this is just crazy, but do you think this is an actual plan?
Well, I don't think it's practical. I mean, I do think you have to give credit for President Trump for saying he cares about the people who are living there in great misery. They have a right to a better life, and they're not going to get it in Gaza. So this is the only war. I mean, think of Ukraine or Syria or something else where people are not allowed to flee. Nobody's allowed to flee. It's remarkable. And Trump is saying they should be allowed to get out of the way of this. But I don't think
they should be allowed to choose.
Yes, they should be allowed to choose. And most Arab states say, no, that's a terrible thing. They can't leave because they're part of this great struggle against Israel. The war could end tomorrow if Hamas would release all the hostages. And I think Trump will continue to be pushing that. A further hostage exchange that creates a ceasefire and that then maybe leads to an end to the war. I don't think you can see an end to the war while hostages are still there.
Elliott Abrams, thank you very much for being our guest today on Tête à Tête here on France 24. And thank you all for watching this show.